6 months ago, my 24-year-old female 24, best friend Tess, female 26, asked me to be her maid of honor for her wedding. We have been friends for years now, and I love her a lot. She has always been there for me, and we've been through a lot together. The one thing Tess was the most excited about was her bachelorette party. She has been talking about it even before she got engaged, which is why I feel so guilty. I also helped her plan our trip to Vegas, and we were supposed to leave this week. But a few days ago, Jason got laid off from work. Even though he saw it coming, it hit him hard. He's just stressed and really upset. He didn't even tell me at first because he didn't want me to be worried. But when he finally told me, I just knew I couldn't go anymore. I was really conflicted, and I knew what this meant to Tess and that I'm the maid of honor, but I just couldn't even consider going to Vegas while Jason is this upset. He's a strong guy, but I felt like he shouldn't go through this alone. I worked up the courage to call Tess, and it just went so much worse than I planned. Tess thought I was joking at first, and then she just became really angry, which is understandable, but I wish she understood my situation too. Tess at first told me to do whatever and cut the call. She didn't respond when I tried contacting her again. After that, she sent me a lot of messages saying that I'm stealing her special day and started questioning why I accepted to be maid of honor if I didn't want to do the duties that came along with it. She said I'm untrustworthy and jealous, that I'm ruining her special moment for a guy I've only known for a year. I'll admit, I usually don't accept Tess's offers to go clubbing, and she blames that on Jason being controlling. But in reality, I've explained that I just turned into a homebody because I never really enjoyed that stuff in the first place. I still go out with her a lot. I make sure I'm there for her. But for her bachelorette party, I was willing to do that and more. I really did want to go and make it special. She told me that her whole plan will fall through because I was the one with the plan. I told her I'll explain it all to one of our other friends. But she said I don't have to because I'm no longer her friend. That hurt a lot to hear. On one hand, I don't regret my decision. Jason needs me, and Tess should understand how difficult this is for us. But also, this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and she has been dreaming about it forever. I'm also the one who planned a lot of the stuff. Our mutual friends also reached out to let me know that Tess was very angry and that what I did was not cool. Now I'm doubting myself, and I need to know if I have to apologize. I obviously can't ask anyone I know. Jason thinks I'm right, and I'm sure Derek and the bridesmaids think Tess is right. So that is why I'm making this post. Thank you if you're trying to help me. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the idiot. Jason knew about this for the last 6 months. If Jason doesn't have himself together enough to endure a hard time without his partner, then you need to evaluate your relationship a bit better. You prioritizing your partner over your best friend in most situations is understandable, but an event like this? Questionable. More context is needed on the duration of your friendship with her and your relationship with him, but in all honesty, people get laid off all the time. I understand it sucks real bad, but it's not the end of the world, and certainly not a reason he can't survive by himself for a few days. Comment 2. You're the idiot. He is bummed about an expected layoff, and you're staying home to, what? Make him tea and oat his arm, and you're missing your best friend's once-in-a-lifetime event that, by most standards, you should be organizing and hosting? Knowing that it's a highlight for her, your priorities are messed up. Staying home is not going to change one thing about your boyfriend's situation, but it sure as hell is, rightfully, going to change things between you and the bride. Please, do an update on this when everything blows up in your face. We all deserve the entertainment value of that at your expense. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I'm honestly still trying to process it all. I apologize for any errors in advance. I'm writing this in a bit of a desperate state. So after I backed out of Tess's bachelorette party in Vegas to support Jason through his job loss, things went from bad to worse. Tess and I have been friends for years, and I've always been there for her. But this time, it felt like our friendship was hanging by a thread. The day after our big fight, Tess called me and I thought maybe she had cooled down and we could talk it out. But instead, she accused me of never really being there for her and said that I always put Jason first. She brought up that time last year when I missed her birthday dinner because Jason had the flu and I stayed home to take care of him. I tried to explain that it wasn't about choosing him over her, but she wouldn't listen. Meanwhile, Jason was feeling guilty that I was losing my best friend because of him. He kept saying maybe I should just go to Vegas, but I couldn't leave him like that. He was already feeling so low, and I couldn't add to that by abandoning him when he needed me most. The next day, one of the bridesmaids, Rachel, called me. She said Tess was freaking out because without me, the whole Vegas plan was falling apart. I had all the reservations and activities booked under my name, and Tess didn't know the first thing about organizing them. Rachel begged me to reconsider, but I stood my ground. I did, however, offer to help transfer everything to someone else's name. That's when Rachel dropped a bombshell. She told me that Tess had been talking to her ex, Mike, behind her fiancé's back. Apparently, they had been texting for weeks, and Tess was considering inviting him to Vegas as a friend. I was shocked. Tess and Mike had a pretty intense relationship, and it ended badly. I couldn't believe she would do that to her fiancé, especially right before their wedding. I confronted Tess about it, and she exploded. She accused me of spying on her and trying to ruin her relationship. I told her I only found out because Rachel told me, but Tess didn't believe me. She said I was just trying to make her look bad because I was jealous of her happiness. The argument got heated, and Tess said some really hurtful things. She said I was a terrible friend, and that she regretted ever asking me to be her maid of honor. I was so hurt and angry, I told her maybe it was for the best if I stepped down from the role. But then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, Jason's mom called. She had heard about the whole situation from Jason and offered to pay for my trip to Vegas so I could be there for Tess. She said it was important to support friends during their big moments and that Jason would be okay for a few days without me. I was torn. On one hand, I didn't want to leave Jason when he was feeling so vulnerable. But on the other hand, I didn't want to lose Tess as a friend. Plus, the whole situation with her ex was making me worried about her. I decided to talk to Jason about it, and he surprised me by encouraging me to go. He said he didn't want to be the reason I lost my best friend, and that he would be fine. He even said he would talk to his sister about staying with him while I was gone. So, I called Tess to tell her I would come to Vegas after all, but she was cold and distant on the phone. She said the plans had changed and that they were no longer going to Vegas. Instead, they were doing a local night out, and she didn't need me to be there. She said she had already asked Rachel to take over as maid of honor. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I had been ready to put aside everything to be there for her, and now she was pushing me away. I tried to apologize for everything, but she just said she needed space and hung up. Now, I'm left wondering if I've lost my best friend for good. Our mutual friends are divided. Some think I should have gone to Vegas no matter what, while others think Tess is overreacting. Jason is trying to be supportive, but I can tell he's still hurt by everything that's happened. Friend breaks $250 gift pact with cheap trinket, so I expose her affair. My daughter adores the gift, but the truth hits hard. Me and my friends got together for a late Christmas gathering, and we did Secret Santa with a budget of $250. Well, it was not so Secret Santa, where we knew who each person got, but it was so we would only buy one person gifts so no one would go over the top. Edit for info, the budget was $250, as in the expectation was each person spends that amount. It wasn't a max $250 budget where you can spend within your means. Plus, this person has a higher paying job than me and is better off financially as well, and the whole friendship group agreed to this amount months before. I also saw gifts she gave to her own family when she posted on Instagram, all branded items. I spent the $250 and bought my Secret Santa a Dior silk scarf, Dior oblique Mitza scarf to be precise. Update for info, she wasn't my Secret Santa, but she got gifted a YSL card holder from her Secret Santa, which cost more than $250. I was excited to receive my gift since $250 is quite a lot, so it should be enough to get a good gift. Everyone else got some sort of branded item, whether it be skincare, makeup, accessories, etc. However, when I opened my gift, it was all handmade items. It was 2 resin coasters, which weren't made very well. I could see the bubbles. Some bracelets made out of yarn, those friendship bracelets you have when you're younger. We're all in our 40s. A crocheted turtle, and a painting she did. It's watercolor, I think. I jokingly asked her how this costs $250, and she dead seriously responded that the kits cost money, and crocheted animals are sold for quite a lot on sites like Etsy, and a bespoke commissioned painting is priceless. Now I understand that it's the thought that counts, and if she couldn't afford the $250, I would have understood. But it's not that she couldn't afford it. She just decided to give me these items because she wanted to try making them. It's like, oh, you didn't want this junk, so gifted it to me? Am I the idiot for not appreciating these gifts? Apparently, I've really upset her by not being happy about what I received, but honestly, if she had even added a $50 Starbucks card, I would have been happier. Everyone else said I was overreacting and that it's a decent gift, but that's because they all got good branded items. I would happily trade my gifts for the Dior scarf back, but obviously she said no. Edit for info. No, she's not a crafty person. She was just bored and watched too many crafty YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, so she was just passing the time by buying cheap kits off Amazon. And the painting she did was more like following a YouTube tutorial and hoping for the best. I also won't be hanging it anywhere in the house. She knows my daughter loves art, and we have her pieces dotted around our house. Now, for a few comments before the update. 1. The craft kits are not age-appropriate gifts. It sounds like they were intended for tweens or teens, not adults. The condition of the gifts given was so poor that they would not be put on the shelves at Goodwill. If your friend justified the gifts based on the cost of the kits, she should have given you the unopened kits. Instead, she gave you craft kits in severely used condition with significant pieces of the kits missing. Not the idiot. 2. Not the idiot. When the dollar amount is $250, you expect a nice gift because you presumably bought a nice gift. She could have gotten you a gift card and maybe 1 or 2 homemade things, but not the whole gift. I understand people saying it's the thought that counts, but when people make a dollar amount for the gift, everyone should stick to it. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, back with that 2-week update on the Secret Santa saga that you've all been waiting for. Buckle up, because things went from 0 to 100 real quick. So after the whole handmade gift fiasco, things got pretty tense in our friend group. Remember how I mentioned my friend, let's call her Sarah, gave me those DIY gifts? Well, turns out she was pretty hurt by my reaction. I mean, I get it, she put effort into them, but it still didn't change the fact that she didn't stick to our agreed budget. Now, here's where things get juicy. Sarah and I have been friends since high school. We've been through everything together. Breakups, family drama, you name it. But this gift thing, it hit different. It felt like she didn't value our friendship as much as I thought. And that stung. But wait, there's more. Remember the YSL card holder she got? Well, turns out her secret Santa was none other than my ex, Mark. Yeah, the same Mark who cheated on me with Sarah back in college. We all thought that was water under the bridge, but apparently, old habits die hard. So, 2 days after the party, I'm scrolling through Instagram, and what do I see? A picture of Sarah flaunting her YSL card holder at a fancy restaurant. And guess who's there with her? Mark. They're all cozy, and it's like a punch to the gut. It felt like history was repeating itself. I confronted Sarah about it, and she broke down, confessing that she and Mark had been seeing each other behind my back for months. She said the handmade gifts were a way to distract from the guilt she felt. Talk about a plot twist. I was heartbroken, not just because of the betrayal, but because I lost my best friend and had to relive the pain Mark caused me all those years ago. The rest of the friend group was in shock. No one saw it coming. They all rallied around me, which was nice. But it didn't take away the sting of betrayal. Some of them even had a go at Sarah, telling her she was out of line for what she did. It was a whole mess. Now let's talk about the gifts again for a second. After everything blew up, Sarah tried to make amends by offering to pay me back for the Dior scarf. But honestly, it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the trust that was broken. I declined her offer. The scarf didn't matter. Our friendship did. And that was beyond repair. In the midst of all this, I found out that Sarah had been going through a rough patch. Her job wasn't paying as well as we thought, and she was struggling financially. I guess that's why she made those gifts instead of buying something. But why lie? Why not just be honest with me? That's what hurt the most. As for the painting she gave me, I found out it was supposed to be a replica of a piece we saw together on a trip to Paris years ago. It was a special memory for us, and she tried to recreate it. I didn't see it at first, but when I did, it was like a bittersweet reminder of better times. The whole situation has been a joyride of emotions. I've been trying to process the heartbreak and the nostalgia of our friendship. It's tough, but I'm getting by with the support of my other friends and my daughter, who's been an absolute angel through all of this. And as for the crocheted turtle, my daughter loves it. She's named it Timmy and carries it everywhere. So, I guess not all was lost. Wife's fury unleashed when mom overstays. I'm caught in a lie, and our marriage teeters. The baby's not mine. 32-year-old male. I've been with my wife for 6 years, and we have a 3-month-old daughter. For the past year, my mom has been battling severe depression following the incarceration of my brother. He lived with her when he got locked up, and she's never lived alone, so it took a toll on her mentally. He's in prison for 19 years, so I don't see it changing anytime soon either. I helped her get into therapy 6 months or so ago, following my wife making a comment about not wanting my mother here every single day. To be completely fair to my wife, it was, in fact, getting exhausting. My mom would show up at various times during the day without notice and hang out for hours because she didn't want to be alone, and entertaining her every single day was getting super irritating, especially given that my wife and I had 0 downtime or alone time. So anyways, I got my mom into therapy. For the past 4 months, my mom has still been stopping by, but it's not nearly as frequent. She got a boyfriend now, so she's only been stopping by once or twice a week and doesn't stay for more than an hour. My wife still hates it, but she said she will take this over how it was any day. But 2 days ago, my mom showed up in hysterics. She was completely inconsolable. Her and her boyfriend were fighting, and I guess it just made all her mental anguish flood back. She asked if she could stay the night. I ran it by my wife, who said, whatever, and locked herself away in the bedroom. She hadn't gotten any sleep the night before. I told my mom, you can stay the night, but you need to leave in the morning. I'm going to be honest with you, my wife doesn't want you here. She hasn't been sleeping, and this is inconvenient. She said she would leave first thing in the morning. But the next day, she was even worse than the night before. She was freaking out and hyperventilating because she didn't want to go home to an empty house. Said she hadn't slept at all. She was afraid of driving on no sleep, etc., and asked if she could take a nap in our bed so she could be rested for the drive. Our couch, where she slept, was not comfortable. My wife said that was fine, but she had better be gone by the time we got back from grocery and other errands. We left at 10 a.m., got home at 8 p.m., and my mom was still sleeping in our bed. The baby was super fussy, and my wife was livid. She said, go wake her the frick up and tell her to leave, or I'm going to lose my shoot. This is unacceptable. I tried waking my mom, but she kept saying, 5 more minutes, and turning away. My wife just looked at me and said, I'm done with this nonsense, and packed up the baby again and left for a hotel. She said she won't come back until I go no contact with my mom and cut the umbilical cord, because my mom didn't get out of my bed until nearly midnight and then went back to sleep on the couch instead of leaving. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the idiot. You need to stop letting your mom run your house. You are her son, not her emotional support animal. Your wife doesn't deserve for her life to keep getting interrupted because your mother is hysterical and fighting with her boyfriend like she's 16. ETA. Most grandparents would want to come over to help with or see their infant grandchild, not come over to be a drain on a new mother and her household. Your mom needs more help than she's apparently getting in therapy. Unacceptable. Comment 2. My wife doesn't want you here. How dare you put this all on your wife? You have done a shoddy job at keeping boundaries you both agreed you needed to set with your mother. Your wife said whatever because you've not presented her with a choice. You basically told her your mum had drama and was staying over, at which point she knew she'd be wasting her breath talking to you. You're the idiot, and if you don't sort this now, you're headed for divorce. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I'm here to give you the update you've been waiting for. Buckle up, because this ride has been anything but smooth. After my wife stormed out to the hotel, I was left alone to deal with my mom, who was still sprawled out on our couch like she owned the place. I was torn between my loyalty to my wife and the guilt of turning my back on my mom, who's been struggling with her mental health ever since my brother got locked up. It's been a year of walking on eggshells, trying to balance my family life and my mom's needs. The next morning, I had a long talk with my mom. I explained that her staying over was causing a rift in my marriage and that she needed to respect our space. She seemed to understand, and with a heavy heart, she left. I thought that was the end of it, but boy was I wrong. I called my wife, hoping to smooth things over, but she dropped a news on me. She confessed that she had been feeling neglected and alone in our relationship for months. The constant attention my mom required from me had taken a toll on her, and she felt like a single parent to our daughter. She needed time to think about our future. Feeling like my world was crumbling, I reached out to my best friend Mark for support. Mark has been my rock since college, always there with a listening ear and a cold beer. He knew my family inside out, and I trusted him implicitly. But what he told me next left me reeling. Mark hesitated at first, but then he revealed that he'd seen my mom's boyfriend around town with another woman. It turns out my mom's boyfriend was cheating on her, and Mark had known for weeks. He didn't want to be the bearer of bad news, but he couldn't keep it from me any longer, especially with everything that was happening. I was furious. Not just at the boyfriend for hurting my mom, but at Mark for keeping this from me. I confronted my mom with the information, and she broke down, admitting that she'd suspected as much, but was too afraid to be alone again. Her fear of loneliness had driven her to cling to us even more. The betrayal stung deep. I felt like I was surrounded by secrets and lies. My wife was contemplating leaving, my mom was in denial about her toxic relationship, and my best friend had kept crucial information from me. In the midst of this chaos, my wife called me to meet up. She was ready to talk. We met at a park, a neutral ground where we'd spent many happy times before. The conversation was tense, with years of unspoken frustrations bubbling to the surface. She admitted that she felt betrayed by my inability to set boundaries with my mom, and I couldn't blame her. We were at a crossroads, and it was time to make a choice. I promised my wife that I would prioritize our family and our marriage. I agreed to go to couples therapy and to have a serious conversation with my mom about her dependency on us. The following week was a blur of therapy sessions and difficult discussions. My wife and I were working on rebuilding our trust, while I was helping my mom come to terms with her relationship issues and encouraging her to seek support from her therapist. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, my mom showed up at our door again. This time, she was calm and collected. She apologized for her behavior and for putting me in such a difficult position. She'd decided to break up with her boyfriend and focus on her therapy. She also promised to give us the space we needed to repair our marriage. It was a bittersweet moment. I was proud of my mom for taking steps to better her life, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of betrayal from both her and Mark. It was going to take time to rebuild those relationships. As for my wife and I, we're taking it one day at a time. The road to recovery is long, but we're committed to walking it together. We're learning to communicate better and to support each other through thick and thin. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.